Well, hello everyone. This
Hi.
is Glenn and
Tanya.
Tanya Coleman, my beautiful wife. So this is the first of many of what we're calling a web series or maybe a mini series. I don't know what you want to call it. But some of you remember a while back we were doing the Facebook Live. So we got a lot of good feedback from that, and people were saying they missed it. So we decided we're going to do something else. And so we're calling this Marriage
Marriage
Matters.
Matters.
So this is where we're going to discuss marriage
Marriage
matters
matters.
because marriage
Marriage
matters.
matters.
I don't know if you got that or not. But anyway, so we just want to come to you and give you just some quick tips and encouragement in the area of marriage. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with our first video, and we're calling it Covenant Keepers. Covenant Keepers.
Yeah.
Covenant Keepers. So I'll start off with let me read this. Now this may sound familiar to some of you married people, and maybe even some of you single people. I'm not sure, but I think it'll kind of sound familiar once I read it. So it says this: I, Glenneth Wayne Coleman Jr., promise to love and cherish you in sickness and in health, poverty and wealth, now and forever, until death do we part. Do you recognize that?
I do. I recognize it very much so.
Okay, so those are excerpt from the wedding
From wedding vows.
Wedding vows. So for you married people, a lot of you probably recited those, right,
Yes.
at one point in time, and so if you said that, let me say it this way, a lot of people say those,
Right. Right.
but our question to you tonight or today, whenever you're watching this, is you said that, but is that what you meant?
Right.
Okay? Because these vows, right? I'm going to read some of these notes here. These vows, notice everything I said is not based on my spouse's behavior.
Correct.
Everything I said was a promise that I made, right? It says that I'm committed to my spouse,
Right.
regardless of my spouse's behavior,
Yeah.
for as long as we both shall live.
Correct.
What you think
Yeah.
about that?
I think that's how God intended marriage to be.
Mm-hmm.
That when God gave us marriage, and that He gave us marriage for a lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
and that we have to take that covenant seriously, just like He takes covenant seriously. We have to do the same as it relates to our marriage,
Okay.
regardless of what the other person may or may not be doing.
Yeah. So those vows, that was a covenant that we were making. And we were making that covenant not only with our spouse, but we were making that with God.
With God.
See, marriage is a three-way covenant.
Correct.
It's a covenant between a man and a woman and God,
Correct.
right? So what is a covenant? You know, a covenant is a promise. A covenant is a vow that I'm going to do something. And like I said earlier, covenant has nothing to do with the other party's behavior.
Correct.
You know, so a covenant says, even when you don't keep up your end, it doesn't justify me not keeping up my end.
Right.
And that's what marriage is. And a lot of people when they enter into marriage, they don't think of marriage that way. So they say these vows, or they say this covenant, or they make this covenant, but here's what they really mean. So let me read this. Let me read this to you. So it says, I, Glenneth, I'm not going to put my name in there because that's not what I promised.
Correct.
Okay. So it's I, whoever, promise to love you and stay with you as long as you love me. Provide a decent salary. Don't age too badly.
Wow.
Stay faithful. Take good care of the kids, or until I get bored of you and find someone else. And if we do break up, I'll have the house and you can have the credit card bill.
Wow.
So I know that's kind of harsh, but I mean, think about this. A lot of people say the covenant, but in the back of their minds, they're thinking the
The
contract.
contract. Correct.
They're thinking, and we justify behavior in our marriages. You know, if she treats me bad, then I'm going to treat her bad.
Right.
You know, if she snaps at me, then that gives me permission to snap at her.
Right.
You know, I mean, truth of the matter, we shouldn't be doing that at all. But I think where we get it mixed up is that you didn't promise to love this person
With
as
conditions.
long as, with conditions.
With conditions.
I didn't promise to love Tanya as long as she loved me. No, I promised to love her until death do us part.
That's correct.
You know, I promised to love her in sickness and in health, in poverty and in wealth, in frustrated days and in happy days.
Yes. Yes.
You know, on a day, I'm going to say this, and Tanya never does this, never, but on days when she gets on my nerves, you never get on my nerves.
never get on your nerves.
No. You didn't see the wink, did you? No, but you got what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not saying that she gets on my nerves, but there's sometimes where we may disagree. You know, there's sometimes where we may not see eye to eye, but that does not give me permission to treat you any other way other than the way that I promised I would.
Right.
And I believe that if we would take that stance in our marriage and understand that what we made with our spouse is not a contract, it's a covenant.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, her actions doesn't matter. So, and same thing for her. You know, so God is a covenant keeping God. God is a covenant keeping God.
Correct. And so me keeping up my end or my promise, my end of the covenant or my promise is not based on your performance. It's not based on if you are giving me all of my heart's desires. It's not based on the amount of your salary. You know, my promise to you and to the Father was that I would leave my old way of being single, a single woman, and now cling to being in this covenant marriage with you until death do us part.
Yeah.
Because the only thing that should separate you in your marriage is death.
That's right. That's right. So let's read some of these bullet points here. So marriage is a covenant, it's not a contract. So a contract is based on performance. When one party fails to live up to the terms of the contract is broken. So that's what a contract is. You do your part, I do my part.
Right.
That's not what a covenant is. A covenant says that I'm in this because I said I was.
Right.
You know, a good example of this is when, you know, God made covenant with Abraham, right? And God told Abraham, I'm going to give you a son, and this son is going to come through your wife Sarah.
Right.
But Abraham, the Bible says he was old, and it says Sarah was barren. She never had kids. So they came up with their own plan.
Right.
Sarah and Abraham did. And they said, you know what? You know, you can have the baby with my handmaiden. You know, so what did they do? They broke the covenant.
Right.
They broke the covenant. But what did God do?
He still kept covenant.
God said, it didn't matter that you disobeyed me. And you know, God does this with us all the time. How many times have we made a promise to God and we didn't keep that promise, but yet and still, he still loves us.
Right.
So we have to take our example from our Father, that he's a covenant keeping God. He's in us. We're made in his image and after his likeness. That means we should be covenant keeping people.
And he gives us the grace to
He gives
keep
us
covenant.
the grace
He
to
doesn't
keep
expect us to do it on our own. God gives us the grace to keep covenant. He gives us the ability to keep covenant.
Yeah. So it says a covenant is a solemn agreement to join together as one for the mutual benefit of both partners. So it's a mutual thing.
Right.
So in covenant, Tanya adds, her goal is to add into my life. My goal is to add into her life. This is not based on what the other person does, but on the word or pledge made at the time of the covenant.
Right.
It's a vow, right?
Yeah.
It's an oath. It's
Yeah.
a promise.
Yeah.
So that's what covenant is, and we have some scriptures here, but I don't know if we have time to get into that. But know this, that your marriage is a covenant.
Yeah.
Stop treating it like a contract.
Yes.
You can't say if she's mean to me, I'm gonna be mean to her. Or if he's mean to me, I'm gonna be mean. No, that's why we mess it. That's why we balance each other out. If she's having a bad day, I'm there to lift her up. Why?
Correct.
Because that's my covenant responsibility.
Correct.
In the good times, in the bad times, the happy times, the sad times, we're here for each other. and we have made a commitment to each other that we're going to be with each other, we're going to lift each other up, and we're going to pour into each other's life. Because marriage is a covenant.
It's a covenant.
It's not a contract.
Correct.
Right? So that's all we have for you today. So look, don't just listen to this video and just put it off to the side. Let's implement. Put this into practice in your marriage and watch the good go to great, and the better become even better. All right? So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.
See you next time.